Alright everyone, I am back, and it is time to move on to the next chapter of the story of Endwalker here. So we just got through a scene with everybody sort of enjoying dinner, although Estinian didn't join us. And then we saw also Xenos and Fandaniel together. So let's go ahead and check out the rest of this. And nice, you're catching up to me, Captain. Just keep going here. Alright, so, next one is Sound the Bell, School's In. Oh, there you are. Feeling refreshed, I hope. I was about to make my way to the Studium, as it happens. I wanted to try and speak with Scholar Montichaigne, and thank him for coming to our rescue in the Rostra. As it turns out, he'd come here to see us, following the hearing, only to find that we'd already departed for Thavnir. Knowing him, he was probably hoping to chew the cud with his former students. That's fine, Radix. Enjoy it. Since we're still waiting for Y'shtola and the others, I thought now the perfect time to pay him a visit. Care to join me? Then it's settled. The twins will be coming too, assuming Alphinaud can tear himself away from his new toys. I'll let you rally the troops while I go on ahead to Phenomenon. Considering my recent impropriety, perhaps I should avoid showing my face around the Studium for a time. That might be for the best. If the others should return, tell them we will not be long. Alright, let us collect Alice. Heading out for a stroll? The Scholark himself was here? In that case, what are we waiting for? I too am eager to see him, though I somewhat dread the thought of visiting the Studium. I dare say our notoriety precedes us. Alphinaud, of all people worrying over his reputation, and at our alma mater, no less. Will wonders never cease? You'll understand soon enough. Off we go. Excuse me. Alright, here's Kryl. Here it is, Phenomenon. While I expect you made note of it before, one can hardly miss it. This is the first time you've been here on official business, correct? While most of the space is taken up by the expansive auditoriums, it also houses numerous laboratories, testing grounds for experimental magics, and a host of administrative offices and so forth. As the center of what would later become the Studium, it was established to promote the study of aetherological phenomena, hence the name. Though with aether being a fundamental aspect of nature, its scope expanded to include every conceivable facet of life and even the universe itself. And then, in the 432nd year of the 6th Astral Era, Phenomenon was decreed complete and the Studium officially opened as a place of learning. With a long and storied history, it is without question the world's leading authority in aetherology, the arcane, the occult, astromancy, and countless other fields, standing proud as Charlian's foremost educational institute. You always did enjoy giving the grand tour to new students. Indeed. I've long since lost track of how many times he has recited that same foppish speech. Such is his undying love for his old stomping grounds. He was in top form back then. Youngest to enter the Studium, graduated with highest honors in magical arts and Etherology, undisputed champion of the debating chamber. Hold on, you both joined the Studium at the same age, yes? And from where I stand, you're equally prodigious scholars. Nice of you to say, but Alphinaud actually entered half a year before me. Nor did I do well enough to graduate with honors. And I am certainly not the Studium's most notorious master debater. In all respects, have I ever been in the shadow? If nothing else, just remember that this was where the legend of Alphinaud Lerveilleur began. We should expect everyone to be fully aware of our recent escapades. Hopefully, we'll be somewhat more welcome here than we were at the last stand. I know better than anyone the adoration of the student body has for Alphinaud, and with a bit of luck, it might work to our advantage. Well, there's no time like the present. First things first, let's look for Scholar Montichaigne. Other faculty tend to frequent their offices, but unfortunately for us, he's fond of wandering wheresoever his whims take him. Let's split up and ask the students if they've seen him. Alright, I am just going to say, Koji Fox! And leave it at that. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, that's on you. That was Alphinaud Lerveilleur, wasn't it? The Alphinaud Lerveilleur? And he's with his sister and Master Baldessian's granddaughter. This can only mean one thing. An event of epoch-shattering proportions is fast approaching. Spread the word. Oh, sorry. You said you're looking for the scholars, yes? Knowing him, he could be anywhere, but Miss Aliapo should have a better idea. Is this any different from what we had over in Thavnir? Doesn't look like it. Interesting what they got at level 90. Alright, and then we got the Merchant and Mender here. This looks to be the same. Alright. How about inside of here? Ah, Aliapo. I believe I recognize that name from somewhere else. Are you lost? Wander in off the street, perhaps. Wait, don't tell me. You're a trainee gleaner fresh off the guild ship. I'm right, aren't I? Oh, how silly of me. An orientation is in order. Allow me to bid you a warm welcome to Searcher's Meet. Let me start with a question. What's the most important thing you'll find in the Studium? That's right, books. And what's the second most important? Why, that's simple. Everything else. That's what we deal in here at Searcher's Meet. Whether the students or tutors find themselves in need of equipment or materials, they come to us. If we don't have it in our stores, we send the gleaners off to find it. Honestly, you wouldn't believe some of the requests we get. Eye of Paisa. This. Tongue of Giant Toad that. It's enough to make your hair stand on end. Which is possibly what some of our students are trying to accomplish, this being a school of magic and all. As our newest gleaner, you'll have your work cut out for you, but I think you'll find it quite rewarding. I've tracked down many miscellaneous knickknacks in my time, but I'm no gleaner. So what you're telling me is you're not a gleaner? Oh, yes, that's exactly what you said, isn't it? And you're looking for a scholar. I'm afraid we don't have any of those in stock, but I can... Oh, you mean him? He was here, but now he's not. I did speak with him shortly before you arrived, though. He said he was on his way to Maker's Meet. Go back the way you came in, and you'll see it on the opposite side of the entrance. It's a laboratory of sorts, home to many rare and expensive curious, not to mention alarmingly frequent accidents. If you lose your way, just follow the blood-curdling screams. In the time it's taken me to tell you all this, the Scholar has probably already left. Best of luck finding him. I have a feeling you'll need it. So, blood-curdling screams, huh? Actually, while I'm over here, let me go ahead and start them on their next exploration. Got a Crystarium mechanical till. The other one I'm holding in reserve until I can actually level up mining a little bit here. Yes, the Scholar was here a short while ago. He offered me advice on my current research project. Though we spoke at length, I don't recall him mentioning where he was planning to go next. When we parted ways, he went down the corridor, perhaps to one of the auditoriums. Before we speak to him... There we go.
Ah, I remember you.
I pray we have not caught you at an inopportune moment. We wanted to offer our thanks for your kind words in the forum.
Well, I could hardly let that Inquisition go unchallenged. I've always believed that curiosity should be nurtured, not stifled. Thankfully, a majority of my colleagues agreed. A slender majority, aye, but a majority nonetheless.
Had the vote not gone our way, we would be having a very different conversation, if any at all. Though I'd like to think you would have not given up on our cause. I'm told you paid a visit to the Annex afterwards.
Yes, that's right. I was hoping to speak with the grandchildren of my dearly departed friends Galef and Louisoix in a less dour setting. But it seems I just missed you. I still can't believe how much you've grown. If only your grandsires could have seen the way you presented yourselves to the Forum. Why, it fair brought a tear to my own eye. You must have the patience of a saint, putting up with this lot and their antics. Never mind Montoya's prize student.
You don't know the half of it, man.
Luckily, I know a thing or two about managing unruly younglings. If you ever need advice, Don't hesitate to ask.
If I may, there is a rather more pressing matter we wish to discuss. What can you tell us of this duty that the Forum must fulfill?
Nothing, I'm afraid. Like all humble servants of the Forum, I am sworn to secrecy.
Sorry to hear that, Krabanos. Are you just stuck at the queue, or are you just not able to get in at all?
Or rather, I couldn't tell you if I tried. Our duty is of the gravest importance. Furthermore, if the particulars were made public, it would incite widespread panic. As such, those entrusted with this duty have been bound by an enchantment, which prevents us from speaking of such matters without the express permission of the Forum.
So, a literal magic cat got his tongue, huh?
How is that even possible?
It's been some time since I last gave a lecture. Please, take a seat. We shall begin by reviewing the fundamentals of etherology. The ether, which imbues us with life, can be categorized into three forms. Two are of the incorporeal sort, the soul and the memory. Can anyone tell me the third?
Corporeal aether. Yeah, I don't think that's right, but I really don't have any idea.
The answer is corporeal ether.
Oh, it is, okay.
This is the form with which the layman is most familiar. Consumed by even the simplest of daily activities, and replenished by the food and drink that sustain us, this form of ether is in constant flux. In contrast, the ether that comprises the soul is rarely subject to dramatic change. The same can be said for memory, as the two are intrinsically linked. Picture the soul as paper, and memories as words written upon it. Now, what would happen if that paper was doused with ink? The same type of ether as comprises the memories.
They become a jumble.
It would blot out everything that was written.
Precisely. We would be unable to recall the memories, and any activities that depend upon them would be hindered as well. In fact, this exact phenomenon was observed on a vast scale not so long ago. And what might that have been?
The 5 years following the last calamity.
The seventh umbral calamity. The people of Eorzea vividly recall Bahamut breaking free of the Lesser Moon and raining hellfire down upon the realm. but no one could seem to remember the events that followed immediately afterwards.
Indeed. To this day, we have yet to determine whether it was an unintended consequence or a deliberate act. The enchantment which binds me and the rest of the Forum is based on a similar principle. And yes, it is a contravention of the Sharlayan prohibition against the practice of memory manipulation. Only when a new member is inducted and told of our great duty are they subjected to the process.
Yeah, that's true. I wonder if any legacy characters have special dialogue in here.
A necessary evil. You have my word that it would never be used to manipulate the populace.
I should hope not. But can this enchantment be dispelled and your memories restored?
If 9/10 of our members give their approval, then the process may be reversed. Then, and only then, would we be able to speak freely to others of our sacred duty. Barring that, we must wait until we return to the ethereal sea.
In what way? Just going there, or when you die?
For there we will be purified, the blots upon our souls washed clean.
Death it is, then.
And our memories drift apart and dissolve, rather defeating the purpose, I suppose. But there are those memories that are indelibly etched upon our souls, some believe.
People remembering
What
the final
happens
days.
after that?
We are reduced to pure ether, coalesce with that of others, and create souls anew. Alternative schools of thought assert souls remain whole and return to the corporeal world, reborn into another form.
Now that would go to... what were they called? The Nadama? Or once again, bringing up the Ozim Step. What is with this interest of bringing up the Ozim Step in this expansion? But there was
Both
that tribe
theories
of
have their
warriors.
proponents. Personally, I consider each equally probable. Well, I think that's enough education for today, now that I've given you some food for thought. Or rather, an entire banquet. I would remind you that although I'm unable to assist you with certain matters, the resources at my disposal may still be of use to you. I'll arrange for you all to be given the run of Phenomenon. Of course, as associate to our alumni and the students of Baldessian, this privilege is extended to you as well, my friend. Oh, and I suggest you speak with Ki Aliapo. She's well known among the artisans of Sharlayan, and her network of contacts may prove useful in your search for knowledge. I wish you all the best in your pursuits, wheresoever they may take you.
You have been granted the run of Phenomenon. If you are game, Ki-Aliapo would put your artisanry to good use. Well, that's given me much to mull over. I feel as though we're one step closer to understanding the Forum's true motives, and the mysteries of life itself, for good measure. It's funny, I came here with the intent of expressing my gratitude, only to leave more indebted than before. I have a feeling his friendship and support will be a great boon to us in the days to come. And on that note, let's head back to the Annex. Perhaps on the way, you could better acquaint yourself with Ki-Aliapo, as the Scholarch suggested, while I share our findings with Raha. So over here, and that means once again I bring out my armor. It's you. You're the one the Scholarch was telling us about. Prince, yes? Brilliant. Just the man I was hoping to see. As I'm sure you're aware, the Studium is the most prestigious educational institution in all of Sharlayan. As such, we make a point of only working with the best educators and students. The gleaners we employ are also held to the same high standards, of course, which is perhaps why it has been so difficult to find the assistance we need of late. Surely you understand the trouble of finding competent and capable help? That you are come here suggests you're willing to lend a hand, no? I'm certain you would have much to gain from working with us, if so. Do let me know should you commit to lending your services to the Studium. I should warn you, however, there is much I must explain ere you begin, so be certain you have sufficient time to spare. Probably better I get this going anyway at this point. Now, allow me to explain our work here. Professors and students from our many faculties gather in Searcher's Meet in order to do business with and recruit reputable individuals such as yourself. Allow me to briefly introduce those here at present. Over here we have Boric from the Faculty of Archaeology. He works as an assistant to one Professor Rurusha, and is currently seeking a skilled metalworker to help restore an ancient relic. Then there's Jude, who belongs to the Faculty of Astronomy. He seems to be looking for an artisan able to work with leather, cloth, or wood, but he wouldn't tell me much more than that. He's awfully shy, you see. Next we have De Broy, a student studying in the Faculty of Medicine. I'm fairly sure she's carrying out research under the supervision of Professor Galvaroche. In any case, I hear she's after someone who knows a thing or two about medicine and nutrition. And here's Hinageshi of the Faculty of Anthropology. She told me she's searching for botanists and miners at present. By the sounds of it, she and Professor Tankin are dealing with a formidable task. Last but not least is Professor Tulaka Tia, an associate professor in the Faculty of Etherology. I heard he's in need of a fisher to help him conduct research for his thesis. Unfortunately, things do not seem to be progressing well for him at the moment. I'd say those 5 are the ones most in need of supplementary aid. I'll leave it to your discretion as to who you choose to help, although be forewarned, academics can be something of an odd bunch. Just be sure not to leave anyone in the lurch after you've agreed to help them. You may now undertake deliveries at the Studium. Speak to those belonging to the institution's various faculties to learn what ails them. Alright, so these are all set now. And I will come back to that later. For us, we need to head back to the Annex. Inside we go. And Graha Tia, what do you have? Ah, welcome back. From what I hear, your trip to the Studium proved most educational. While you were away, I received word from our fellow Scions. As expected, news of the warding scales was met with much joy. Preparations are now underway to bring the leadership of the Grand Company of Eorzean and the Eastern Alliance together to determine a way forward. Our friends have asked that we bring the scales in our possession to Limsa. So the time has come for us to go on the offensive. It's too early to say for certain, but that does seem to be the way the winds are blowing. I, for one, can think of no reason to oppose such a plan, but let us see what awaits us in Vilbrand. Let's start by getting the scales out of storage. Give me a hand, would you, Estinian? Phew, I didn't realize these crates were so heavy. You know, just a random thought here. If the Studium really didn't want us interfering in anything, why didn't they take possession of these? I get the feeling we should have probably stored these at the Rising Stones. I shouldn't complain, though. Ritra and the alchemists of the Great Work put their heart and soul into each and every one of these scales, so you must treat them with the utmost care. Are you not coming with us? As much as I would like to escape the Forum's watchful gaze, I've little choice but to stay behind. We're already on thin ice, and if I, in my capacity as our official representative, were found to be consorting with foreign powers, well, you can imagine how that would go. I shall remain here, and do my utmost to avoid ruffling any more feathers as I await word from Master Matoya and our other allies. With luck, we'll soon have good news of our own to share. The tide is about to turn, I can feel it, to Limsa. I guess there's a chance of it. They're certainly not showing it, though. Although I'm talking about the council. Let's see. So Lenosha. It would seem that way. The last of the hunt marks was noted to be in Garlemald. Ah, I was told to expect you. As you may or may not be aware, the Admiral is at present entertaining the Elder Seedseer and the Sultana. Three of the most powerful women in the world in one room. Do you need a moment to prepare, or shall I show you to them? Could be, Lord Samuel. After Garlemald, I mean, there aren't going to be too many more zones. I mean, there's the one that was shown in the prior pictures and such. But yeah, I would say Garlemald and then probably the moon after that. Or maybe there's one more zone between them and between those two. My apologies for calling you away from Charlian at such short notice. On the contrary, we are honored and grateful, and pleasantly surprised to be joined by such esteemed company. 'Twas only right that this discussion be conducted in person. We are locked in a war of attrition. Our forces struggle to contain the threat posed by the towers, and it is only a matter of time before we are overwhelmed. Victory will only be claimed through decisive action, and we have taken the initiative to set the wheels in motion. It is reassuring to learn we are all in accord. But might I ask what your plan entails? It hinges entirely on the warding scales and our ability to utilize their potential to the fullest. You know who I don't see in here? Lys. Which means Lys may not be important to the story here. During your time in Charlian, the allied nations have been engaged on separate fronts, with no end in sight. To make matters worse, a surge in abductions of kobolds, Sahagin, Ixal, and Ananta have given rise to an increasing number of primals as well. But your triumph at Radzat-Han has given us cause to hope once more. The time has come to free ourselves of this menace, and it is you, the Scions of the Seventh Dawn, who have shown us the way. While the bulk of our forces will continue to hold the Lalafell at bay, we will dispatch our finest to strike at the enemy heart, Garlemald. These brave few will be the Ilsabard contingent. To think such progress has been made in so short a span. Its objectives are twofold. The first is to provide aid to the people of Garlemald. As previously reported, countless Imperial soldiers and civilians have been tempered. Robbed of their free will, they serve the Lalafell's every whim without question. They too are victims. It is our duty to deliver them from their suffering, not for strategic or political gain, but because it is the right thing to do. I do not ask that we set aside the decades of conflict and conquest, that we simply choose to forgive and forget. I ask only that in choosing to remember, we do not also forsake our compassion and morality, for without that, there can be no reconciliation, only death without end. Aye, on that we can all agree. Our second objective is the Colossal Tower that Thancred and Urianger observed in the capital. Though its purpose remains unclear, there's reason to believe the smaller spires are merely a precursor of what's yet to come. Until the Tower of Zot was toppled, we failed to make any headway, though the same could be said of the Lalafell. They're certainly in no rush to press further into our lands. I'd wager the Spire's primary purpose is to divide and keep us occupied, while they work towards our annihilation. This would appear to be substantiated by Yshtola's analysis of the Tower's influence on ethereal currents. Based on her observations inside the Tower of Zot, the Spires siphon aether from the land, consuming it to maintain their form. However, they draw forth far more than is required for this task alone. The excess of ether remains unaccounted for, but we can be sure it is not being harnessed for our benefit. Yeah, Yrstola made mention that there was somebody's limb inside the thing. It wouldn't surprise me in the least if it was being redirected to the larger spire in the capital. There's a logic in that. Regardless, once we have uncovered the truth, we'll bring their schemes crashing down, along with their infernal towers. That's all well and good. But what would you have us do? I assume it's more than handing over the scales and being on our way. We want you and your scales to join the Ilsabard contingent. Consider it an official request from both the Grand Company of Eorzea and the Eastern Alliance. Do you accept? Perhaps you should be the one to answer that. with the people of Garlemald. Couldn't have put it better myself. Y'shtola, Thancred, and Urianger have already pledged their support, and are on their way to meet the rest of the contingent. They were positive you would come to the same decision as they did. Luckily for all involved, their prediction was correct. Once you have delivered the warding scales to Ala Mhigo, the contingent will embark on its journey to Eorzean. Ralban and Lord Ermic are overseeing preparations, so I suggest you make yourselves known upon arrival. Pack warm clothing, furs, and the like. Without it, the cold will do you in before the Lalafell so much as draws steel. As for us, we'll keep the enemy busy while you're gone. They're not the only ones who can create a diversion. Now go. Safe in the knowledge Eorzean will be as you left it, or better, upon your return. Yeah, no kidding, there's the cold is nothing. I mean, you know, I fought Shiva multiple times, so... Alright, so we need to head for the Ala Mhigan Quarter. And this is my elite ticket. Ah, the Wanderers return. You've been busy bringing down a tower and producing the keys to destroying the rest of them. You should be proud. Those warding scales of yours are what's made this whole venture possible. Will you and Lord Ermic be leading the contingent? Regrettably, no. Our role is to organize the various delegations into a cohesive unit. Once we have seen you all off, it's back to our respective posts. We dare not neglect our duties for too long, lest our defensive efforts fall into disarray. And just between us, there was a fair amount of opposition to the formation of the Eorzean contingent. The very suggestion that we send out some of our finest troops behind enemy lines to render aid unto the Garleans has made me rather unpopular in certain quarters. Can't please them all. Sadly not. Though I do my best. Truth be told, I'd much rather be at your side, charging into the fray. Alas, I've battles of my own to fight, where words may serve me better than any blade. I hate to say it, but Lord Ermic's struggles mirror my own. For the time being, the best we can offer you is the peace of mind from knowing Eorzean is in safe hands. As you fight the good fight in Eorzean, I and the other commanders will do what we can to convince the naysayers that our cause is just. Thank you, both of you. We meet again. Fordola? Ah, no, Gaius. Much has occurred since we parted ways in Werlet. From what I gather, the protective talismans you obtained led to the formation of this expeditionary force. Yeah, you called it there, Lord Samuel. My contribution on this occasion is but a minor one. That being the information I have shared with Maxima. For the sake of the people of Garlemald, may the fates be on your side. So you're not coming with us. Strange, I thought you had a stake in this. I do. The Lalafell have laid waste to my homeland and enslaved my people. But though every mote of my being cries for vengeance, I cannot be the one to deliver it. My presence alone would place the entire mission in jeopardy. I stand accused of murdering Emperor Varus and plunging Garlemald into chaos. Were I to travel with the Eorzean contingent, it would give my countrymen ample cause to question our motives. Conversely, Those who believe me innocent may instead celebrate the return of a former legatus and attempt to raise me to a position of leadership, further destabilizing the region and complicating the contingent's mission. Whether I am branded a villain or hailed as a hero, I would only hinder your efforts. I doubt they'll be pleased to see the champion of Eorzea set foot on Garlemald soil. Or Garlean soil, rather. A fair point, but so long as you refrain from announcing your arrival to all and sundry, the average person should have no inkling as to your identity. Although your titles and deeds are common knowledge, only a select few would recognize you on sight alone. Perhaps one day, they will learn that the Warrior of Light is not a demon to be feared, but a man deserving of their trust. In light of Gaius's rather unique circumstances, I, instead, will assume the role of your guide. Yeah, Rooks, that has to do with them trying to acquire Arm. Though I may have defected for political reasons, my love of Garlemald endures. I would stop at nothing to protect her and her people. Well said. Might I ask you to escort our friends inside? You might even bump into an old acquaintance or two, and if I don't see you again ere you depart, may the Fury guide and protect you, all of you. The other members of the Ilsabard contingent are gathered in the royal palace. I shall inform them of your arrival, so please make your way inside as soon as you are ready. Ah, the remaining members of the Scions. Your friends and most of the Ilsabard contingent await you within. Would you like me to see you through? Let's enter.
By the 12.
Glad you could join us. I hope you don't mind, but we went ahead and started without you.
As you can imagine, our traveling companions were eager to become acquainted. 'Tis a rare thing indeed to see such a diverse and talented group of individuals assembled for a single purpose. We fight not only for the sake of Eorzea, but for the entire world, including the people of Garlemald. Much rides on the efforts of the Ilsabard contingent.
What is that one guy doing push-ups for there?
Indeed, which is why I am glad to find myself in the company of many trusted comrades, yourselves included.
Lucia!
I have come at the behest of Lord Emmerich, who has honored me with the role of Ishgard's representative. And for the good of all nations, not least my former homeland, I am determined to see this mission through to its end. We have a hard road ahead of us, but walk it we shall, together.
We too welcome this opportunity to work together once more. I have faith that, if there is a way to resolve this conflict, we will find it.
Allow me to introduce you to the rest of our company. Everyone! If I may have your attention. Might I ask you to speak first?
Oh, there's Lise.
If I must.
Ah, I know you from the, Oh, where is that? It's over in, Not in, Gridania. It's, the, other location, in, south, in the south part of the forest.
I am Eorzean, spokesman for the Gridanian delegation, here on behalf of my esteemed sister, the Elder Seedseer. We shall provide support and protection to those in need during our time in Garlemald.
Can this kid see anything?
To that end, I am joined by healers selected by the Conjurers Guild, with the Order of the Twin Adder's Finest serving as our escort. Of course, with an experienced white mage such as yourself accompanying us as well, those requiring more involved treatment will be in safe hands. Raya O sends her regards, by the way.
Yeah, that's, yeah, everything levels to level 80 before this, aside from Blue Mage.
Suppose I'd better say my piece.
Wait, I know you.
The name's Sicard, in case you've forgotten. Truth be told, I'd rather you had forgotten. Any road, the Admiral asked Captain Hilfear to send his best, and for whatever reason, he picked me. Of course, if I'd refused, I'd be the laughingstock of the bloody executioners, and my reputation's taken enough of a keyhauling as it is. But more importantly, like any pirate worth his salt, I know when you're staring down a storm, you gotta trust in the commander of your ship. So if the Admiral wants us to go to Garlemald, not for plunder and glory, but a promise of peace in our time, then that's what we'll do. Since we all know how much the Empire loves its steel, we thought we'd bring along a few smiths to make the most of it. Give them a pile of scrap and they'll cobble together anything you fancy. Of course, just like the Gridanians, we got fighters of our own. We might have come with a more constructive purpose in mind, but we're more than capable of cracking skulls, believe you me.
Well, you're certainly raring to go. But then again, so are we. The most dependable warriors of Uldar and Ala Mhigo have assembled at the Sultana and General Aldin's behest. If Garlemald has truly fallen, then the whole place is likely to be crawling with Lalafell. We'll need plenty of troops to clear and hold a path for others to follow. That's where we come in. Naturally, Marshal Tarapin and I will be leading from the front.
It's been some time since I last saw you in your element on the battlefield.
From what I've heard, you've become pretty fearsome yourself. Master Matoya, the Avatar of Destruction.
Who's told?
With comrades like these, I know we'll succeed, no matter what awaits us. And then we might finally get a chance to enjoy a good long rest. But until then, let's give it our all.
As for Ishgard, we Temple Knights have come in force to uphold our nation's commitment to the peace and welfare of our allies. The bitter cold of Garlemald is a formidable enemy in of itself. Our experience fighting in ice and snow will prove invaluable in the days ahead. Accordingly, I have been designated commander of the Ilzabard contingent. I will do all in my power to provide you with the leadership and guidance you require. The four high houses, House Hylinart foremost among them, have arranged for a host of machinists to join us on our mission.
I wonder about that, Lord Samuel. I'm wondering if maybe if they might be putting a front on from the other side as well, as sort of a distraction.
Their knowledge of Imperial Magitech is sure to be a great boon. They will address any problems of a technical nature together with the smiths of Limsa. There is another awaiting introduction.
You!
Lord Montichaigne!
Ah, yes. Montichaigne de Forton, at your service. Though, lest there be any misunderstanding, I should stress that I've not become a fearsome warrior while you were away. Rather, far from it, actually. My brother, in his infinite wisdom, decided this would be an excellent chance to make something of myself. Oh, and fight for world peace and all that. But, should the opportunity arise for a spot of ballroom dancing, I will be your twinkle-toed gentleman of light.
Ah! Really? Gentleman of Light? Wouldn't that name belong to someone else? I dare say your fancy footwork may be all that stands between us and certain doom.
Huzzah! I cannot wait to regale Honoroa with my tales of derring-do.
I believe that concludes introductions for the Grand Company of Eorzean. Our allies from the Eastern Alliance were due to arrive some time ago, but it would appear they have been delayed.
Ah, they've been delayed.
Would that be the shinobi of Doma?
Actually, they've been tasked with relaying messages back and forth between the various Eastern nations. According to Lord Hien, however, an equally capable company of warriors has been sent in their stead.
Out of my way, you preening fool!
Those of the Azim Steppe. And look at Mr. Little Sun there.
Forgive us for coming late. We are the delegates of the Eastern Alliance.
Cyrena, and you've brought company.
For battle and blood we come, as the steppe is sorely lacking in both. No towers befoul our lands, so we marched on those of Doma, only to find them beyond our reach. But now our thirst for slaughter will be slaked. No quarter to the enemy!
Sadu Hatun, no. We go to make peace with the Iron Men, not war.
Warriors of the Steppe, we've heard many tales of your bravery. We welcome you as allies. And these other ones you have brought are...
Members of the Dalmascan resistance group, Lente's Tears.
And the Bosnian resistance. Between them, they have a wealth of experience in espionage, and are particularly adept at infiltrating Imperial facilities. Which is fortuitous, since Garlemald's domain is so vast that I could never hope to handle reconnaissance duties all by myself.
Dalmasca, Bosnia, Ala Mhigo. All lands which have suffered the tyranny of the Empire. I would never presume to question your motives. Nevertheless, I must reiterate that our goal is to aid the victims of the Telophoroi, the common folk of Garlemald. And they are victims, make no mistake. Though I understand that many may struggle to see them as such.
You're more right than you know. For every one of us that answered the call, there were a dozen that refused.
And aren't there even more that are missing from this? Where are the beast tribes?
Not only in Ala Mhigo, but everywhere we went. And who could blame them? The Empire's always been the enemy. But after seeing what we've seen, fighting and working against and with Garleans, there's no denying the simple truth. They're just people. No different from you or I. They've got their share of liars and murderers, but so do we. So do we all. Fordola, who once swore herself to Garlemald, has proven herself a trusted ally time and time again. Every Eorzean here knows Cid Garland, the Imperial defector who shared with us countless technological wonders. Gaius bloody Balesar himself is working to help rebuild Wurlid, a nation he once conquered. So you can believe me when I say that every fighter here understands and accepts that the Imperials are not monsters and are deserving of help. Or at least that they were able to put aside their feelings for the greater good. It won't be easy, but we're all determined to make this world a better place.
What lingering concerns I may have had were clearly unwarranted. I agree with everything you said wholeheartedly.
Then we are in accord. Now, let us review our strategy. To reach the Garlean capital in northern Ilsabard, we must cross the central mountain range. Fortunately, Garlemald Ironworks can provide aerial transport, sparing us this most treacherous part of our journey. However, attempting to fly any closer to Garlemald would attract the attention of the Telophoroi. As they appear to have seized control of the majority of the Imperial military, we must assume that includes its fleet. In addition, Garlemald possesses devices that can interfere with airship navigational systems, further discouraging an airborne approach.
Given the circumstances, the closest we dare deploy our contingent is an area between the range and the capital, the Magna Glaciers. From there, we must travel the rest of the way on foot. We will also need to bring the airships with us to ensure we can withdraw with haste. Although much of the terrain will be blanketed in snow, we should be able to make use of local roads and shipping facilities. The vast ice field will afford us an unobstructed view of the surrounding area. On the other hand, it will also allow others to easily spot us, so it is imperative that we only make camp in positions where we can easily defend ourselves. And the airships, which must be kept safe at all costs.
We cannot account for every possibility, so we must be prepared to think on our feet. We will be tested. Sorely tested, I expect. But for our homes and for our people, and a people not our own but in need, we will succeed. Spare no effort in your preparations. Once we depart, there is no turning back.
My goodness, a room full of people. You know what, let's take a few minutes here, let's see what they all have to say. Allow me to express my deepest gratitude for your role in liberating Bozja. Me and my countrymen owe you more than we can ever hope to repay. Now that our dream has finally been realized, Bajjaljan has seen fit to send a few of us to join this expeditionary force. I hope our skills will be of use. I'm glad to see you well, Prince. Grandmother was worried about you. The night I agreed to come hither and join the contingent, the gods sent her a strange dream. 2 suns, one burning red, the other frozen black. Closer they circled, closer and closer, and as they danced, the world fell to ruin. In blinding chaos, she spied blackened silhouettes, and knew at once that one was yours. One burning red, the other frozen black. Is that supposed to be the moon and the planet? Yet we knew not how to interpret this dream. save as a sign that great danger awaits. But whatever lies ahead, I will walk with you, traveler. I care not for the Iron Men and their troubles. It is the destiny of the weak to die in ignominy. Even so, I will do as I have agreed. I volunteer to join this band at Serena's request, and if she thinks it is a worthy cause, that is reason enough. Though we hail from different tribes, our bond has grown strong of late. She is much better company on a hunt than any of the steppes oafish men could dream to be. With the Mole, champions of the Nadam, and the Dotharl having sent so many here, I thought to defend the steppe in their absence. And I would have done so were it not for my step-brothers. They urged me to grant our allies the sun's might, that his radiance may deliver them unto victory. Though I must tolerate the presence of this feral Dotharli dog, as first among my brothers, I could do no less than accept this challenge. My deeds will become the stuff of legends. Yes, much as your explorations around the steppe in that April Fool's video several years back. Yeah, if you haven't seen that one, and it's only available in Japanese, it's a few minutes long where Magni basically goes through various different games, including things like ActRaiser, Secret of Mana, and other games like that, with the Final Fantasy XIV based theme of the Azim Steppe. I can't lie to you, Prince. I was entirely for this whole thing when Sanson spoke to me, but if it means being your brother in arms, then who am I to pettifog? I shouldn't be so hard on him, I suppose. This Bard unit is quite impressive, really. Yes, one must give credit where credit is due. Rather uncouth for one to do otherwise, after all. Our prowess has finally been recognized by the Order of the Twin Adder. Naturally, Gaidolo is also here helping us. Whilst his ability as a bard is unmatched, I do worry about his judgment. However, you need not. I shall be keeping a close eye on him, I promise. Greetings, Prince. The time has come for us Marines to show our valor upon the battlefield. All who see us will know of our name and quake before our might. To victory, come hells or high water. In case you were wondering, Eshiva will be staying behind to defend the Twelveswood with my sister. She was of the opinion she would make a useful addition to our contingent, and was eager to make good on her vow to accompany me as well, which was flattering, but ultimately it was decided that her skills would be better put to use, keeping our homeland safe. I am, of course, obligated to share with her every detail when I return. Until the Empire fell, Garleans were the only ones we was allowed to impose tariffs upon at sea. Weren't easy pickings, but I made myself a pretty gill. Since they've been so generous to me and mine, perhaps it's time I return the favor and gave a little something back. I'm here representing the Marauders Guild, and it's my job to keep the Smiths out of harm's way. Mind you, with them hammers of theirs, they can put up a fair fight themselves. With a bit of luck, this'll be over and done with afore you know it. Maybe when this is all over, you could pay the Axemaster a visit. He still tells all the new recruits about the time you killed Kujata and avenged that boy's parents. I remember it like it was yesterday. Yeah, I wonder if more people get added to this scene if you've completed more of the quests in the game. Like, I never finished up Mogmail, nor did I complete Eureka. Often Father told me of the struggles faced by Ala Mhigo in the days of the occupation, and I too have crossed swords with the Empire on many occasions. Though Garlemald has long been our bitter enemy, Her Grace has elected to bolster the Ulzabard contingent with members of the Immortal Flames. As representatives of the Sultanate, We're one in our commitment to the cause. We came as quickly as we could. We would follow your example and devastate the Lalafell with the full extent of our powers. Worry not for your brothers, Busi. We will return soon enough. It seems so long ago we were sailing across the Ruby Sea and charging about the Azim Steppe with Serena and the others. I'd say we were overdue for another adventure. It brings back memories to see so many familiar faces. We've been through so much together, good times and not so good. I expect Garlemald will be mostly the latter. But I'd like to believe we'll look back on these days more fondly in the years to come. But for that to happen, we'll have to make it out of this alive. Don't you die on me, aye? I'm so glad I found you. I found you a letter from Master Hamon. Let's read it together, shall we? Now, let's see here. I have every confidence that your fish shall bring the Lalafell to their knees, and should you espy any beautiful maidens thereabout, perhaps sing to them my praises. Charming, master. Well, more fool me for thinking that letter would contain something actually inspiring. Let's just, forget this note exists and focus on the battle ahead. I cast my lot with the populares to bridge the divide between Garlemald and her territories, that all may be united in a common cause. But we were disparaged as a radical element, dissenters looking to destabilize the Empire from within. Many friends and even my parents perished in unfortunate accidents. I, too, would surely have met the same fate had I not defected. Nevertheless, I still dream of equality and peace for us all. As the world itself stands on the brink of collapse, I hold out hope that one day that dream will become reality. Well, if I had known what a social gathering this would turn out to be, I'd have dressed for the occasion. Still, this seems the perfect opportunity to mingle with the other guests. Would I be correct in assuming those ladies over yonder are Serena and Sadu of the Steppe? Perhaps I should introduce myself, though I don't much like the look of that fellow with the enormous axe. If it isn't Prince, 'tis thanks in no small part to you that the manufactory's future is looking brighter than ever, my friend. I am pleased to report that I and a handful of my colleagues have been selected to join this contingent. Ere the expedition has ended, even the Temple Knights will be singing our machinist's praises. Once they have borne witness to not only our mechanical proficiency, but our combat prowess too, of course. Let me have a look at you. A touch nervous to enter the battlefield, perhaps? Well, I shall be out there alongside you as a Temple Knight serving with your fine van. Though I may not look it, I was the Azure Dragoon once upon a time, so you can rest assured I will give all that I have in the coming fight. I certainly won't be shown up by Eorzean. Interesting. Alright. I don't think I spoke to Sansa. No, actually I did. Alright, so that just leaves the Scions. We've been part of joint military operations like this before, and with far greater numbers. But for some reason, this feels very different to our previous experiences. Despite having shared little more than introductions, there is already a palpable sense of camaraderie. I did not expect to see the other former Azure Dragoon here of all places. As he well knows, I'm not one for verbose greetings. We shall instead let our lances do the talking once we are on the battlefield. Then we'll see if the other has been diligent in his training. This is extraordinary. To be in such company, the finest our allies have to offer, with comrades such as these, we're bound to succeed, I'm certain of it. I was half expecting to find the man who taught me red magic amongst our number, but he is nowhere to be seen. I suppose he's had his share of unpleasant experiences with the Empire, but so have we all. Perhaps there's some other reason. Well, in any case, I have a feeling I'll see him again once this is all over. I'm sure he'll be pleasantly surprised by how much my swordplay's improved since we last met. Oh, is that one of the ones? Because I don't think I ever finished up the Red Mage one. Blessed are we to have made countless steadfast allies o'er our journey's course. Indeed, we are joined today by many new acquaintances, who in time shall we come to call our comrades, and mayhap friends. I have close ties with the scouts of the Eastern Alliance and the various resistance groups, and they're an absolute joy to work with. Alright, Y'shtola, you got the marker. Besides the delegates assembled here, the Amalja and several other tribes offer to send troops of their own. There they are! Unfortunately, due to their physiology, many would struggle simply to survive in the harsh climate of Ilzabard. They would also likely prove tempting targets for abduction by the Lalafell. All things considered, they can better aid the cause by bolstering our defenses in Eorzean, though their eagerness to do more has been noted. I don't know, what about the Exal? They seem to do fine in the snow. We few shall have to suffice. Ere we embark, we must distribute the warding scales to our comrades. Care to do the honors? We heard it would be cold in Garlemald, so we came prepared. Alright, so these enchanted talismans, or should that be talismen, would probably require considerably less time and effort to produce if the alchemists of the great work were not so preoccupied with making them look pretty. Oh, the talismans! We are to keep these close at all times, yes? I will see that no one misplaces theirs. Ah, and before I forget, I have a message from Hien. In distant lands, in times of strife, together stand, together fight. In darkness shines the light of life. I hope I have done his words justice. Doma, like much of Othard, has been plagued by the towers. Yet while he could not be here, he wished to express his shared conviction. Hien and Ugiri labor without rest to unite the people, and with their aid will we keep the enemy at bay. And we of the Steppe and the Eastern Alliance will repay their efforts by ending this war. Yes? So these are the famed warding scales. Enough for me and my men, I see. I myself am especially grateful for this opportunity to visit distant lands. I wish to follow in the footsteps of Master Atoa and learn all there is to learn of this star we call home. Indeed, that is the primary reason I volunteered to join the expedition. To journey outside the Twelveswood, much less enter into Imperial territory, is a rare privilege afforded a Pajal. Not that I'm tagging along to see the sights. The Garleans would benefit from my healing magics, as would our comrades, should fighting break out. I hear you got something for us. Ah, them scales everyone's been talking about. Pretty little things, ain't they? Reckon they'll be worth a gil or two when this is all over, but we'll hold on to them for now. And one more thing. I know what you're thinking. Why didn't they send Ainzar instead? Buggered if I know. All the Admiral and Captain Hilfer told me was they needed someone to help safeguard the future, and here I am. Can't say they haven't got a sense of humor. Of course, some of you might be wondering what good a pirate is on dry land, in the middle of the sodden snow of all places. Well, me and my crew will do whatever needs doing, so let's set sail. or however the saying goes on airships. That a set of warding scales I spy? Not that I would know what they'd look like. Wow, look at these. Even a layman like me can tell they're bursting with ether. All the better to fend off the tempering waves? Is that the right term? Anyway, these will give us one less thing to worry about, which just leaves the other mountain of whatever else is waiting for us in Garlemald. Only one way to find out, eh? And nervous or not, I'd march through all 7 hells if it gave me a chance to put Xenos back in the grave where he belongs. Warding scales for the Ishgardian delegation, I take it. Many thanks. These talismans may prove to be the deciding factor in the battles to come. I find myself conflicted by this foray into Garlemald, sent by the Empire to infiltrate Ishgard, only to throw in my lot with those whose secrets I was supposed to be stealing. And now I lead a mission to save the countrymen I betrayed. But that is doubtless why I was chosen by Lord Eremic. He would have me put my extensive knowledge and former ties to good use. I will not disappoint him. For the future of Ishgard, Garlemald, and the world at large, I will lead us to victory. Do you have a warding scale for me too? Thank you for this, and for going to such incredible lengths for the sake of my people. Though I have little to offer in return, I would impart some advice, if I may. You have been told by many to wear the cold of Ilsabard, and I cannot stress enough that this is no token warning. I will be distributing specially made warming tinctures, courtesy of the Alchemist Guild, but understand that they are no substitution for proper protection. I leave the provisioning of said protection to your discretion. Now, let us proceed to the Ala Mhigo quarter. While you make your final preparations, I will have the pilots ready the airships. I don't know, what do you think? Do you think this is going to be good enough? Seems like at least a fairly heavy, heavy cloak, or coat, rather. Actually, if some of those ice potions were still, in employ, that might have been useful. This is our last chance to make ready before we set forth. You needn't worry about Eorzean and I. We will still have what we wore in Garlemald before. Estinian claims to be quite warm and toasty beneath his armor, and since he spent a fair bit of time up north recently as well, I have no reason to doubt his words. Most of the others will be borrowing Grand Company stock. The rest of you could do likewise, I suppose, provided you're not overly concerned with style. Not to put too fine a point on it, but I wouldn't be seen dead in one of those ridiculous overcoats. If only I had time to find something to my liking. Hark! Is that the cry of scions I hear in need of tailor, I hear? Did Tataru come here? Indeed it is. But how? I have my ways. Oh, yes, indeed. You thought you could sneak off to Ilsabard without telling me? Ha! Nothing escapes my notice. She really is evil sometimes. Now, you will wear these garments I've made for you whether you like it or not. You never cease to amaze. But why do you need a new outfit as well? Wait, are you coming with us? What? No, of course not, silly. It's all in the name of fashion, rather the pursuit of the highest quality fashion. Besides, how can I expect others to wear my creations if I've never worn them myself? Ah, I did have one other thing to share. Argamus and Blomda have finally returned from assignments in faraway lands. They'll be staying at the Rising Stones for a while, to keep an eye on events throughout Eorzean. Since they'll be running things back at headquarters, I was wondering if I could lend a hand in Sharlayan. Oh, why not? You can keep Cryo company in the Baldessian Annex. Yes, we'd love to have you there. And I heard Argamus and Blomda did a fine job carrying on in our stead while we were lying comatose. With them in charge of the Rising Stones, we've nothing to worry about. My thoughts exactly. Also, while I'm confident you won't go collapsing again, because a certain someone who shall remain nameless isn't in a position to transport your souls to another world, if anything similarly disastrous were to happen, I'd be well positioned to do something about it. Anyway, I've got a few things to take care of, and then I'll make my way to Sharlayan. I really do hope these new clothes are enough to keep you warm in Garlemald. It's not much, but it's the only thing I can do for you, other than pray for your safe return, which I will every day. Let's not keep the contingent waiting any longer. Here are your winter woolies, handcrafted by yours truly. Alright. So let me take a quick look at this here. So, where did they get put? It must be this North Sea coast, or North Sea coat, rather. Alright, so let's give this a try. And was there anything else to go with it? It doesn't look like it. Alright. I think I like that. I'm told the airship pilot has been sent to meet you. And there he is. Alright, this is where we go our separate ways. Do be careful, won't you? Alright, so looks like in this case duty calls. What I want to do real quick is I want to take another quick 3 to 5 minute break here, and then we are going to get this duty underway here. So please stand by, everyone. I will be right back.